Will you guys agree? Will you guys agree, just commit today, that you'll take your plan just like we took ours, take it to the people that have the computer modeling capabilities, and show everybody, if you're so convinced it works, show them. Take it to the Department of Revenue just the way we did and have them run the numbers and say, yes,
I'll make a deal with you, Representative Emmer. I will do that if you will tell us by the end of the week where you're going to cut $6 billion in spending to balance the budget. Is that a deal?
Listen,
first off, all right, by Friday, good. All right, and I have sent mine to the Department of Revenue, and I will ask them to have it ready by Friday.
First
so
off,
we'll have something on
Senator,
Friday
this is the problem with running for office for 28 years and doing it the same way we've been doing it every year.
More often than I have.
Every year at this level and a statewide level, you have bought into this thing where government needs more money to spend even when it doesn't have it.
So show us where you're going to cut. Just tell us where you're going to
No, no more talking. No more talking.
And it comes up again later in the debate here.
Proposal. So there's nothing we can really disagree with because we don't know what it is. But I maintain when all three of our proposals are put in specificity, and I have asked Representative Emmer, and I will provide when I receive from the Department of Revenue their analysis of my proposal.
You've submitted?
Yes, sir, I have. Then we will be able to compare the three, and I think people deserve that. I think they deserve it before people start early voting next week.
And for Mr. Emmer, Mr. Dayton.
Paul, can you speak up a little bit?
Yes. Apparently, one of the biggest questions and bones of contention has to do with the budget plan and deficit reduction. About 10 minutes ago, I saw some very chummy handshaking, and I'm interested to know if that means Mr. Emmer is going away from this meeting with a commitment to have his deficit reduction plan completed by the end of this week. And if that's done, has Mr. Dayton committed to presenting his plan to the Department of Revenue for review? Is that a commitment, yes or no?
If you're asking me, what I've already told you is that these guys are talking about a deficit, which frankly is what government wants to spend. And I know one candidate likes to continue to say that it's money the legislature spent. You know what? It's money, more revenue that the government is going to have in the next biennium. People need to start to recognize that it's not a matter of being short, it's what government wants to spend. Yes, there will be difficult decisions that need to be made, but let's start recognizing that this so-called deficit is about government wanting to spend beyond its means. It's going to have roughly $32 billion, and you know what? The plan that I put out, which is the only one so far that has been verified by the Department of Revenue that it can work, that the only one that can actually generate economic growth is the one we put out yesterday. Let's start getting jobs moving. All you hear up here is about the services that we all believe we need to provide, but how are you going to pay for those services if you are not creating good paying jobs in the state of Minnesota? I put that out yesterday. Mine has been verified, and mine is based on the fact that government is going to have more revenue to spend in the next biennium. These folks are talking about a deficit because they want government to grow.
When will your whole plan be out?
We're going to put out a couple more pieces over the next couple weeks.
So is there a final date when it will be out?
Well, ask these guys. Are they going to put out?
I'm asking you, and then I'll go after Dayton. So when will yours be out?
My budget plan in terms of what we're doing was out yesterday. It's a jobs plan. Everybody here keeps talking about a deficit that frankly does not exist if you're willing to live within your means. The only way you have a budget deficit if you're going to be politics as usual and not be willing to look at government and say, look, we got $32 billion. This is what we're going to spend. Now let's start growing jobs again in this state so that it isn't just government that grows, so our private economy grows so you can start paying for these things. That's what we proposed yesterday, and we'll keep putting out more.
Let's be clear on that. All right.
You know, as one business executive said to me, if you want to be a CEO, you better be able to count. And Representative Emmer, what I understood when we shook hands was that as soon as my proposal that I've submitted to the Department of Revenue, as soon as we receive that, I will make that public.
Good.
What I understood you to say was by this Friday, you would submit your proposal to eliminate the state deficit.
I did it yesterday,
Mr.
sir.
Representative Emmer,
that's what we put out yesterday.
You cut taxes by $626
Only
million.
Only a politician would say leaving these people with their own money is a loss.
You know, take the private econometric firm that provides the state budget projection. I mean, and they said we're going to spend, you have the figure correct, $38 billion in the next biennium. You want to reduce that to $32 billion. So that means you have to cut $6 billion of what is projected to be spent in the next biennium. So just tell us
this is a great
straightforward.
debate.
Let me just finish,
when are
please.
you guys going to start representing these people instead of government?
I'm just asking you.
When are you going to start protecting them?
I'm just asking you. The fiscal integrity of Minnesota is something that absolutely needs to be protected.
How about the fiscal integrity of the citizens?
Just tell us where you're going to cut the $6 billion to bring the budget back down to where you said it needs to be.
We are going to live within our means, sir. If we didn't change...
Where are you going to cut?
Theoretically, David, here's what it is. If we did not change one line item of spending over the next 2 years, if we agreed, and I'm not, but if we agreed that we weren't going to change a thing based on current revenue projections, the state of Minnesota, after the next biennium, would have a surplus, not a deficit. If we agreed we weren't going to grow government beyond where it is right now. But that's not what they're doing. What they're saying is government must grow, and at whose expense? At the good people, the hardworking men and women of this state. It's time for government to live within its means and allow these people to start creating jobs again and start working.
So let's be clear, because Representative Emmer loves to talk about living within his means, even though he wasn't willing to do it the last 6 years when he's been in the legislature. If you do nothing, take Representative Emmer at his word. Do nothing. No changes in the line item. We will have a surplus. School districts won't be paid back the $2 billion that were borrowed from them. Businesses will still be paying accelerated sales tax that the state is borrowing from them. Hospitals will still be closing because we cut GAMC and we haven't replaced it. We will have roads deteriorating. Because that's been paid for largely by federal stimulus money. So yeah, we'll have
David,
wait a second.
That assumes he's not growing one job.
We'll have. No,
that does.
No.
You're not growing one job, so no new revenue is what you're saying from economic growth. That's the part you're leaving out, sir.
It's hard to have a discussion when these two guys keep fighting with each other and making up numbers.
He's fighting with you now.
Here's the reality. Yeah. Here's the reality.